In 1607, 3 ships, the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, dropped anchor off the Virginia coast. As the men stepped onto the peninsula, their heavy boots sank into marshy, brackish soil. They were searching for a fortress against the Spanish, a stronghold for the crown. They had unknowingly built their future upon a graveyard. The air was thick with heat, and the water tasted of salt and rot. Within weeks, the first men collapsed from dysentery. Their bodies were buried in shallow, nameless trenches, while the Powhatan people watched silently from the tree line. The English gentlemen sat in their tents, staring at their soft hands, refusing to touch a shovel. John Smith arrived to find a camp of dying men and rotting structures. He saw the pride that was killing them and drew his sword. His decree was simple and terrifying. He who does not work shall not eat. He forced the aristocrats to clear the brush and dig for fresh water. For a brief, flickering season, the colony held its breath. They survived the first year, but their peace was a fragile illusion. As the autumn leaves fell in 1609, the supply ships failed to arrive. The Powhatan, sensing the settlers' growing arrogance and desperation, finally cut off all trade. The gates of Jamestown were barred from the inside. The winter of 1609 descended like a shroud. Inside the fort, the silence was broken only by the frantic gnawing of rats. When the rats were gone, the settlers turned to their leather boots, boiling the salt-cured hides for a trace of nutrition. By February, hunger had turned into a madness that stripped away every layer of humanity. They looked at each other not as brothers, but as meat. Archaeological evidence later uncovered a horrifying secret: the remains of a teenage girl, her skull marked by the jagged, desperate cuts of a knife. They had turned to the dead to survive the living. For months, they huddled in the dark, consuming anything that could be chewed. When the spring of 1610 finally thawed the frozen mud, only 60 gaunt figures crawled out of the fort like ghosts. They were broken men. They burned their structures to the ground and boarded a ship to abandon the site forever. They sailed down the river, praying to leave the nightmare behind, only to be met by a relief fleet. They were forced at gunpoint to return to the ruins they had just tried to escape. Jamestown would not be allowed to die. The colony remained a tomb until John Rolfe arrived with a handful of stolen tobacco seeds. He planted them in the very same soil that had starved his predecessors. The leaf flourished in the Virginia heat. By 1617, the first shipment reached London, and the world developed an insatiable hunger for the smoke. Jamestown transformed overnight from a starving outpost into a goldmine of ash. To feed the massive global demand, the colony turned to a darker engine of growth. In 1619, a Dutch ship docked at the wharf, carrying the first enslaved Africans. A new hierarchy was born, fueled by profit and sustained by chains. The Powhatan fought back in 1622, but the English response was a systematic campaign of scorched earth. The colony survived, yet it was built on a foundation of blood and tobacco. Jamestown did not succeed through virtue. It succeeded by consuming everything in its path. It left behind a legacy that would define the American struggle for centuries to come.